you can get the beauty of the.
Well,
All right,
here's your
so
are we recording yet?
We are, but don't talk about what you're wearing.
yeah, we're live, but the show hasn't started
Squeezing
yet.
all the farts out of me. Jesus.
Yeah, you can talk about that before the show.
Let's talk about what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, what articles look good to anybody?
We got to talk about. How can we not talk about taint?
Taint.
Oh, the cork taint thing that I just put up there.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I just put it up there. So if we're doing that, you got to give me another 5 minutes to go back in and actually read it.
We got to talk about gluing beer cans together.
No, I think the Carlsberg gluing beer is definitely worthwhile.
We're saving turtles and getting hammered at the same time.
Since we don't have a guest, I picked out a special wine that I'd like to talk just a little bit more about, like as in our intros. So that might take us, I feel like our intro can be a little bit longer today. And then also we have a quick fantasy football minute that I'd rather not talk about.
God, how bad did you beat me?
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. You haven't even looked. Oh, okay. Don't look then. Don't look.
My draft grade was an A, and my rosters for shit. Of course, Yahoo's going to give himself an A.
I can't even read this cork taint article. So
yeah, don't worry about it. We don't have to do that one.
Okay, so the glue one, yeah, I think the glue one's a good talk.
Glue one, and then since we're talking about cans anyways, so you just highlighted the wine in cans, so let's do that one too.
Oh, crap, I didn't.
Why don't we do the Carlsberg gluing cans and then wine in cans with data?
It's the can. This episode is in the can.
Yeah.
John, did you look? Because I just put one in there too. That they have evidence that we cultivated
beer is older than bread.
Yes. I thought that was pretty interesting. That came out less than like 6 hours ago.
Yeah. Is that a surprise? No.
Really?
I'm not surprised.
Like I am.
Well, here's the deal. Archaeological evidence of beer is going to be a lot easier than archaeological evidence of bread. Do I really think that beer became before bread? No. You got to eat before you can drink.
Nice. Well, what's a porter for?
Or this Russian Imperial Stout that's 13 ABV that I'm going to have on the show.
Okay. The can one is, there's not a lot I need to read about that. I don't remember anything about the wine and cans one. Can either of you speak to that one?
I didn't read that one. I kind of thought.
Oh, dude, if you don't want to, if you're not feeling comfortable with it, don't worry about it.
No, it's good. I put it up. I mean, this came out a few days back, and I remember it being interesting, but I don't remember the.
I just started looking through, and it just seemed like wine in cans is more popular. Was like the gist that I got. I mean,
That's like today. I read an article about 10 trends that some sommeliers wish would go away, and one of those was wine in cans.
Certainly, but I mean, it could be more of like a canned wine discussion.
Yeah.
Were there certain? Do you recall like there being a certain theme, like something like I should go back and look for real quick, or just that there's a lot more available and they're selling?
I think it's the. Right? I think the gist of it is people are buying it. It's cheaper. It's more environmentally friendly. It costs the wineries less money to produce it in cans, and you are starting to see more premium wines ending up there. I can't even load the article now.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like brewers. Like, fuck you, we're putting our beer in cans because it lasts longer. If you don't like it, don't drink our beer.
Word.
Okay, loading. All right, it's not a fad. Sales of wine in cans rose 43% year over year from June 2017 to June 2018. But that only accounts for 0.2% of wine in the U.S. The survey of consumers and producers like its convenience, affordability, and sustainability. Most popular size of 250 milliliters, followed by 375s and 187s.
A 1.87 liter can?
Milliliter. 100. Yeah. It's like a glass.
Okay.
If you ever are at a restaurant and you get a sparkling wine that comes out in the little tiny bottle,
that's like a Red Bull.
It's like a 187, yeah.
It's called a split.
Yes.
187.
So people like it because it allows for portion control, no leftover wine, portability. Savings for winemakers. They're easy. They're lighter. They're easier to stack and ship. They topple over. They don't shatter. Basic stuff. A Napa Valley cab from Soda Pop Vineyards goes for $25 for a 375 milliliter can.
What?
And Wine Enthusiast gave it 90 out of 100 points.
There you go.
That seems like too much money for a half a bottle of wine.
Or it's a way to get the wine without spending $50 for a whole bottle.
Ah, touche.
And the most important thing, don't drink it straight from the can.
Because it won't aerate.
It won't take, you'll, whenever people say that they get a tinny or they get the metallic taste out of it, I'm like, you're drinking it out of the can.
Yeah.
Like,
but I don't get that from beer though. Maybe it's because of the carbonation.
I agreed.
Carbonation cuts that tinny taste at the nub.
All right. Okay.
At the lip.
That one and data. All right. So make sure this one loads. All right, the glue and the really cool thing about the glue one is that they're like willing to share it, right?
Okay, I've already got my take on that. Okay.
Here, guys, you want some glue? Gee, I picked the wrong day to stop sniffing glue.
You can sniff glue and drink beer at the same time. You can huff. Not that we're advocating.
All right, if those are the two, go ahead and get our intro down.
It's there already. I think.
I better close the door a little bit here. Look out, Pete! I gotta close the door.
Careful you don't start a fire. All that friction. Uh-oh. Getting some feedback. Hearing myself come back through.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I think it's because John put his headphones right next to the phone.
Oh, let me see.
Good now.
Let me see. Okay, yeah, well, that was it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, man, if you have to run off during the show, don't drop your headphones right next to your phone because then it's super echoey.
Me?
Yeah. It's super feedbacky. It was like a Jimi Hendrix concert.
Awesome.
It's like going to see Robin Trower, man.
Yeah.
It was like Jimmy Page was calling you on the phone.
Really? Did I miss it?
Yep, you missed it, man.
Fuck. I had a dream that Jimmy Page called Solomon. I am not shitting you. And I was super upset.
What did he call me?
I don't know. He called you a hack punk rocker who used to work in a record store.
Well, that's a fucking compliment coming from him, right?
Jeff Burrows says he's so ready to wear it in the climbing gym, or as I like to say, Sweat City. As my hero would say, I pity the fool who comes after me. Oh, Jesus, that's funny. Oh, who knew one tweet from somebody could turn into such fun? All right. You guys all set?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
All right, let's do this. 8:40 start.
Hi, this is Stuff from CorkMV.com.
Can you guys hear that, or is it super quiet?
Barely.
Oh, motherfucker. All right. Solomon, give me a mic check.
Check 1.
Ooh. John Ruyak, give me a mic check.
Check 2.
Interesting. And
low.
All right.
Low.
Everything's low. Oh, I can see why this is low.
Game's low. Nope, still low. Better.
Yeah.
Getting there, but you got
Check 1. Check
Jack.
1, 2.
Jack.
What the deuce? What the deuce?
Take a look at the little Jimmy rig that you did on the side of your desk.
Yeah, that's where I'm going next.
Marcello just jumped on the airplane to Italy.
Did he?
Yeah. Oh, no turning back now. You can't walk away from a wedding when you're in the air.
In another country. Does everybody like her?
And to all of our friends watching, I love my dad's fiance. She's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah. How do you say congratulations in Italian?
No idea.
Congrazie, Marcello and Giovanna. Which is Italian for congratulations, Harvey and Jan. Yeah, I mean, that sounds good. It really played the stub thing. I think that's
Hi, this is Stuff from Cork.
Yeah, you got
it. A lot better.
For the We Like Drinking podcast, where you never drink alone.
All right, and then looking at mine. Yeah, I think I'm coming in all right there. All right, Jeff.
Hello. Hey, what's up, man?
You're good. All right, and John.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
All right. I think I was coming in a little hot. All right, I think that's a little bit better there. All right, but John is a little
low.
He's a little low because he can't breathe. I'm going to up John a wee bit. All right, John, come back to me.
Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2.
It'll do. Actually, no, I'm gonna take you up a little louder. Those lungs are not working at full capacity today.
Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2.
I'll just max you out. All right, go again.
Check 1. Check 1, 2.
All right, but I'm still, man.
You kind of sound a little hot right now, Jeff. I mean, are you?
Yep. All right, how's this? All right, I think that.
Yeah. That's good.
All right, well, that was fun. Thanks.
Hey, patrons.
Thanks for listening,
YouTubers.
Yeah, how many viewers we got right now? That should be. All right, 8:44. That was 4 minutes of fun. Let's do this.
Hi, this is Stump from CorkEnvy.com. We like drinking podcast where you never drink alone.
At the sound of the tone, the official We Like Drinking time will be 5 o'clock. Commence consumption.
Thank you for joining us for the award-winning We Like Drinking podcast, episode 192. In this episode, we'll be discussing gluing your beer cans together, putting wine into cans, and a fantasy football beatdown for the ages. So crack open your beer, uncork that wine, and let's get drinking. Oh, good. Oh, good. Fantasy football beatdowns. You're welcome, listeners. But hey, folks, welcome to episode 192 of Jeff Solomon. That wine looks delicious. Happy hour 192 of this little soiree that we put together every week for your ear holes, which is the only award-winning and topical beer and wine education podcast focusing on what, John?
F-U-N and fun.
That looks like an M.
An M? All right. Well, my penmanship was never that great. I got C's in penmanship in school.
Excellent.
Somebody's watching the video of this with the sound off, which, happens a lot on a podcast. And they thought he was saying that we're all about fun.
I like that it took us about 32 seconds before we got to our first visual joke of the pod. Yeah. So folks, I mean, if this is your first time listening and you're already,
we're sorry.
This is some phenomenal music to my ears. And you're like, what I really want to do is throw some money to these guys. Visit welikedrinking.com/pledge to find out how you can help us out by becoming a Patreon of the show. Find out how you get your own t-shirt, how you can get even more episodes of our show in your ear, because who wouldn't want it so far this episode? Am I right, guys?
Yeah, you're so right.
the energy is on.
It's palpable.
I mean, you seriously though, like if you send enough money our way, I think John would give you the shirt off of his back.
I gladly.
So you're listening to us talk. Let's find out who we're listening to. We've got Jeff Solomon, who is our wine blogger.
Sure, I am.
We've got John Too Tight Ruyak, who is our beer brewer.
I guess that's me, sure.
And I am your host, Jeff Eckel. So we've already made a couple references to the clothing that John is wearing. You may remember about a month ago, some Twitter stuff happened. And I ended up ordering a T-shirt for Jeff Solomon from $6 Shirts that says Frankie says relax. And because of the Twitter conversation, we made sure to order it in small or extra tight. So Jeff got it and he wore it on a show. And then he peeled it off and threw it in a bag and shipped it right to me. We had another episode where I put it on and in my hot box here, wore it for an episode, peeled it off, shipped it off to John, who has it on now. And John is the largest of the panel.
Well, how tall are you, Solomon?
5'8"? I'm 5'8", 163.
Okay. Eccles, you're like 5'10", 5'11".
Yep, somewhere in there, pushing
170.
175.
Yeah, I'm 6'205". So here, so anyway,
you look like a tomato, John. A tomato.
Well, I feel like my wife does when she puts on a shelf bra, because my boobs are just standing right up without any extra over the shoulder help. But remember that episode I did down in Costa Rica? I was wearing that tank top, and Steph got all hot and bothered about my guns. They show off pretty good in this shirt. I will say though, after Solomon's worn it, and Eccles has worn it, and all that dermal sloughing and dirt, this shirt is not breathing whatsoever. And this might be the only podcast where I feel like I need to take a shower afterwards.
Well, it's better, sometimes our listeners feel like they have to take a shower after listening to one of our shows. So,
well, yeah, good on them. But yeah.
All right.
So, yeah, this is, yeah, I'm not sure what to say.
All right. Excellent. May I say it was a very busy day today?
Was it now?
Yeah, I had a lot going on. So this should be fun because it's time for Grape, Hop, or Pop Culture Reference. This is where I give these guys a term and they try to tell me if it's a wine grape, a beer hop, or some kind of pop culture reference. The term this week is Galaxy. I did no preparation for this show whatsoever. So Jeff Solomon.
Can you spell it, please?
Galaxy. Okay.
By the way, Wen says hi. She's watching live.
Excellent. So, we do have one. Look at
that. So it's tough for me because usually when we do Grape Hop or Pop Culture Reference, we've already shared what we're drinking and we dive into those. And I feel like that kind of lubricates my my brainium a little bit. It's tough for me to figure out what the heck Galaxy is.
Well, let's just do that then and just fix it in the magic of editing.
Oh, okay.
All right. So let's find out what everybody's drinking tonight. Jeff Solomon, what's in your glass?
Well, we were going to have a guest tonight that had to do a little last minute schedule shuffling because they're a winemaker, and when those bricks are right, you got to harvest. And I understand exactly how hard that is because the wine I am sharing with you is literally years in the making. What you see is a scuzzy bottle that I ripped the label off of. Ooh. And I've got some painter's tape around the neck there. Okay. And it says 2016 Comanche. This is the first bottling of the flagship wine from my backyard, which is, of course, Comanche Street Vineyards. It's a blend of Petit Syrah, Zinfandel, Merlot, and Cabernet Sauvignon. I got just enough juice to barely fill a 64-ounce growler with it for fermentation.
Yep, I remember that.
And so it was right around a year ago, Jeff, you were at my house and we were drinking some of that Sangiovese that my buddy trucked in. This is some wine that I bottled at the same time as that. But there's only 2 bottles in existence and I opened one of them tonight. That's why I'm so excited. So this is super dark to the arc. You're not seeing anything through this. This is going to be the only Comanche release that is predominantly Petit Syrah and Zinfandel because a rat ate my Zinfandel vine, and I now have other vines that outnumber that. But on the nose,
wait a minute! I thought there was only one Zinfandel grape in this entire.
No, the next year it just flourished, and the year after that, I was like, hey. Bud breaks happened to all my vines, but not this one. So I poked it, and then it just fell right over.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Stand up for when. Let her take it all, and then talk.
I can't talk. I can't. It's too tight.
Oh my goodness. I'll tell you what's not tight. The beautiful nose. on this Petite Sirah, Zinfandel, Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon from my own backyard. Excuse me. There's some wonderful, like, dark brambly fruit on the nose. No joke. There are some beautiful chalky tannins on this palate. I've got this really nice acidity, bright red fruits, ripe, dark fruits. I honestly think this is basically at its peak right here. I'll probably save the other bottle for the rest of my life, so nobody will ever know what happens to it. But this is delicious, and I'm so excited. So, hey, man, when those bricks are right, you got to harvest, because how else are you going to have wonderful fruit like this?
That's right.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Excellent, man. I'm glad.
I believe there were so few grapes that year that I pressed it in a French press.
That's a lot of grapes there, man.
That's beautiful.
The year that I had one Zinfandel grape, I fermented all that, and it turned into vinegar pretty quickly. So anything that's not vinegar, I'm stoked on.
All right. John Ruyak.
Okay, so I have a Prairie Bomb.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this is from Krebs Brewery in Oklahoma.
Yep.
And have you heard of this?
I've had that. It's delicious.
Well,
I have not had that one, but I've heard of Krebs, and I've had quite a few of their beers. They're at Veterans.
Veterans.
They always
Okay.
got some stuff there.
So I went to Kelly's on Juan Tabo, as Bugs Bunny would say, and picked up a bottle for dinner for our Mexican bean tortillas that we make, of Stone Scorpion Bowl. And Sharon and I shared that and was not impressed at all. And when I got these two bottles at Kelly's, they said, that one's awesome, the Prairie Bomb. And I said, well, what about the Stone? He goes, it's a Stone IPA. It's good, but not great. And, when I opened it up, it was exactly right. It was good, but not great. And damn if they don't use Simcoe hops. Don't put Simcoe hops in a beer that's going to bottle and sit on the shelf. It just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this Prairie Bomb is imperial stout aged on coffee, cacao beans or cacao nibs, vanilla beans, and chili peppers. I will make a note and have a quick story about the fact that on the top, on the bottle cap, what's that?
It's a mudfish.
It's a catfish.
Ah.
When I went to Oklahoma a couple of years ago, we were eating in a Subway with my son and his buddy. We were out herping looking for snakes and lizards and stuff. We were talking to this kid about noodling, and they noodle for catfish in Oklahoma, which means they dive under the water, crawl into a cave in the side of the river, which is generally clay, and reach in and try to pull out catfish. That takes a lot of fucking nerve, quite frankly, because I said, well, aren't you worried about cottonmouths? He said, no, cottonmouths are cool, man. They don't bite you underwater. Well, I said, what about snapping turtles? And snapping turtles actually don't bite underwater. But he holds up his hand and he's got two fingers missing. But beavers, they bite. So I'm sure that the catfish on this refers to noodling in Oklahoma. Anyway, let's taste this.
Like oil.
It's got the consistency of oil, but it sure doesn't taste like it. Wow. The peppers are the first thing I taste besides the malt. So it's malt, a little bit of carbonation, then the peppers, and then this is 13 ABV, guys. So this is not a tame one right here. This is 2.5 beers in a bottle. I get some warmth from the alcohol, of course. And then after the chili peppers kind of wash away, I get the coffee and the cacao, and the vanilla is way underneath everything. Not real apparent, but you can tell it kind of lends to the smoothness. So this is an experience. This is nice.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, man,
is delicious.
That's a savory dessert right there. Like
I'll say, I need to go get a bowl of coffee ice cream or something.
Yeah.
There you go. So a couple things. One, because if I have bottles of these, they don't last long. I've got another bottle from.
Oh, look at that!
But I've got the I've got the Dracaena Wines Rosé of Syrah here.
Ooh.
That rounds out this shipment of Dracaena wine. So I guess
That's an interesting color for a rosé, or is it just our take on your?
You know, I
Your
know
lighting.
exactly what it is. That's the influence of the super blue blood moon.
that's right. That's right. No, it's a pretty standard. I mean, it might look a little bit different if I hold up the bottle. No, it's
It looks gold. It looks golden to me.
It does. It is coming through a little bit more gold color, but it is pretty much a salmon kind of pink in the glass. It's also a very hefty pour, and it's also my second glass.
Oh, nice!
Wow, a Harvey Solomon.
It is Harvey Solomon.
In honor of Marcello's upcoming nuptials.
Nuptials, that's right. But nice and crisp. Good on a hot summer night like this where the temperature's not cooling off as much as I like it to out here in Colorado. But also, guys, you may remember a few weeks ago we had Christy Norman on the show, and she was talking about her T-shirts. So check this one out.
Oh, look at that.
Dude, that's beautiful.
This is her Napa shirt. It looks like the NASA logo, but it says Napa, and instead of like the moon, it's got like a wine glass and cool stuff. Very comfortable.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a shirt with the Napa Auto Parts logo. And it really won't say anything different. I'll just wear a Napa Auto Parts logo on the show.
Perfect.
I think it'd be killer.
Perfect.
It's like, I'll sell one that says Napa. And I'm like, oh, wait, it already does. Okay.
Wait, I mean,
You know what they say up in that direction, right?
What?
Napa's for auto parts. Sonoma is for wine.
Oh,
there you go.
I never heard that before.
All right. Well, welcome to the show, everybody.
Yeah.
Before we get too deep into the show, I guess it's time to test everybody's mental with grape hop or pop culture reference. So this is where I give you guys a term and they try to tell me if it's a wine grape, a beer hop, or some kind of pop culture reference. John is stepping in early.
No, I just wanted to say last week you didn't roll your R on grape.
Oh, I didn't?
You did not roll your R, and I felt cheated.
Well, let me apologize for that. I'll see if I can roll some extra R's tonight for you, okay? All right. The term this week is Albolonga. So is Albolonga, no R's, John, sorry, a wine grape, a beer hop, or a...
Wait.
What's up, John?
Wait.
John, your shirt's riding up a little high, right?
Wait. I'm not showing any nipple, am I?
What's up?
Wait. Time out.
Okay.
Earlier, we had an editing snafu.
Yeah.
And you changed up what we were doing.
Yeah.
And you gave an easy one that
yes.
I was going to get.
Yes, I did.
And then we backtrack and do the show like normal.
Now I'm going to have to
talk about our beer and our wine. And you come up with some term out of your anal sphincter that I have no idea what it's about.
The best part is, like, he wasn't going to change it, John, but Jeff and I both saw, and we texted each other while we were tasting. We saw you typing frantically on your computer, looking up what Galaxy was.
Oh, come on. I don't even need to know what. Come on. You know
okay.
I know what Galaxy is. Don't give me that crap.
Okay. So it's Albolongo?
Albolonga.
Can you spell that, please?
Albalonga. Albolonga.
Is it two words? Like, is it Al and then?
No, it is one word.
Okay, because Albolonga,
he played. Didn't he play catcher for the Giants in the 20s?
Yeah.
I thought it was an Italian deli meat, but anyway.
Al's Bologna. Albolonga
Can I have that on rye with some mustard?
It's funny that you said.
Just stop for a second. Okay. So already, folks, we were going to edit some shit out. Now you're getting it all because otherwise none of this is going to make sense. And if this is your first time listening to the show, this is what they're all like. Just don't think this is a fluke.
Okay.
This is what we do.
So
if you're a voter for the podcast awards,
sorry.
This is just beautiful radio right here. All right, Jeff Solomon, you were saying
if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, they shouldn't win the podcast award, even though this is their second year being a finalist and they're returning champs. If that's what you're thinking, like you shouldn't be a judge if you don't think that we're the best. I think that's what it is. Albalonga. It's funny, John was making some jokes about like an Italian lunch meat or something. I believe that Albalonga is a wine grape from Italy. It's a red wine grape from Sicily.
That's like your default when you say Italy, by the way.
No, it's not.
When chime in and tell us what you think. John Ruyak.
Well, Albalonga, life is just a fantasy. Can you live a fantasy life? Aldo Nova? No, Albalonga. Well, I'll go with Italian grape. It's a long grape from Alba, wherever that is. It's an Italian grape.
Wherever Alba is.
I think it's a rosé grape.
It's a long grape. Maybe it's a long way from Alba, but anyway, okay.
Wen also says it's a grape.
Okay. Albalonga is in fact a wine grape. Very well done, everyone. It is a white wine grape from, and this is shocking, honestly, Germany.
Oh.
Wow. Crossing
Albalonga.
It's a crossing between Riesländer and Müller-Thurgau.
Oh, yeah.
Albalonga.
That was my next guess.
That grape variety belongs back where it came from.
It belongs in another galaxy is where it belongs.
All right, folks. You've been waiting for it. And it's time for Booze News, where we discuss interesting, noteworthy, or stuff about cans.
I've got some cans right here.
God. Oh, Lord. Listeners, if you ever thought about watching our YouTube, don't watch this episode.
Yeah, if you thought about watching this on YouTube, relax. Don't do it.
What a hop. All right. So this week, let's see. I got both news stories this week. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
All right. Carlsberg Brewing over in over the pond, right, John?
Yeah, Denmark.
So they have been experimenting with a new type of packaging for their 6-packs. So we've talked before about the company in Florida that was putting together the rings that were edible for sea life. So if it ended up there, the animals could eat it. Or if you got hungry while you were drinking your 6-pack, you could eat the ring.
There you go.
Carlsberg has gone a little bit further with that, and they've just said, forget the rings, forget all that. We're just going to get some Elmers and just glue it together. And so you can go buy a 6-pack now that's literally glued together, and you just pull them off and then play with the glue, I imagine. But I found this really interesting. And really this was one of those where I read it and I was like, how has it taken this long for something like this to come up? So I want to give you guys your take on it. I know John is itching to talk about this one, or maybe it's the shirt. But
well, yeah.
But John, why don't you lead us out with thoughts on this one?
Well, so when you were talking about playing with glue, I mean, I'm not sure how old most of the people are that listen to the show, but come on, like in elementary school, didn't you like squirt Elmer's glue on your palm and just let it dry and like circle it around with your finger until it got kind of half clear and then peel it off?
Oh, you were one of those kids, huh?
I was one of those kids, yeah. So,
I did too.
Yeah, so they figured out a way to get about 30,000 people to sit around and squirt Elmer's onto their palm of their hand and swirl it around just in time to slap it onto the beer cans and stick them together. It's either that, I'm not sure, but they've got a couple thousand Oompa Loompas with caulk guns in the brewery, just squirting them in between the cans as they come off the canning line so they stick together.
There you go. So we're making some jokes about it, but they did put a lot of R&D into this, and they have developed the glue to be to a point where it'll hold together if the six-pack is dropped, or this is what they're claiming, that it'll hold together through the normal wear and tear of a six-pack, but yet it's rigid enough that you will be able to pull it apart. So it's not just Elmer's. They have put some R&D into this, into coming up with it. They do have the support of the World Wildlife Fund that's promoting it as well. So it's not just a joke. This is kind of
I did see that. I read part of the article. I didn't read far enough to go down. It must be biodegradable to some degree, correct?
They didn't really say if it was.
They didn't give any kind of shelf life of how long the glue will hold together. I mean, hopefully long enough before the beer actually goes bad in the cans. I'm not saying that facetiously. I would just hope that this glue is somehow biodegradable and not in 5 or 10 years, but something that would break down within, a year or two.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything about that, but that's an excellent question.
And we might consider whether or not, the residue of the glue might interfere with the recyclability of it. Like, do you have to pull the whole glue off before you go to recycle it? But here's the thing.
They're aluminum cans. You've got to smelt aluminum at 2,300 degrees.
Okay, all right. Hey, devil's advocate. But here's the thing. I am not a fan of this, and I'll tell you why.
Really?
Yeah. It's very simple, man. I like the rings. I like the romance of it.
Oh, God.
My beer has always come in 6-packs with rings. I like the feel when I pull and then it goes pop.
Yeah.
Right off the edge.
Do you like a little ka-chunk when you pull it off of it?
Certainly. And you know what else I like to do?
Are you talking about the rings or the caps?
No, I hate the caps too.
Really?
The plastic rings. Those are the best. And you know what I really like too? When you get to the last can and the ring you just let the ring hang off the side. Or you're at your second to last can and you're drinking that, and then you carry that one single can with the ring through your belt loop. I guess what I'm saying is, if I go to a fancy restaurant and they bring out my 6-pack glued together, I just feel like I'm losing the luster of it all. And it's like, why did I even bother going to this nice steakhouse and ordering a 6-pack of Carlsberg if I'm not going to be able to pop the can off of the rings? I'm sorry.
I mean, and with the plastic ring, there's you break the 4 apart and then you put it on your head and let the other 2 hang down over your eyeballs, so you've got beer goggles on. I mean, that's pretty awesome. And not to mention the fun of when you take your last 6-pack out, taking the ring and throwing it in the stream or river that ever's closest to you and just watch it float down.
And
you know what I like to do? I like to adopt a duck is what I do. So I put the ring out. I don't let it float down the river. That's disturbing. I hang it from a branch, and as a duck swims through it, then I just follow it with a drone, and through the years as it grows, It's just kind of sweet. Because eventually it looks like John Ruyak wearing a Frankie Silver.
Oh, well played.
All right.
I will say, I think you'll gather some of that separation satisfaction by peeling off that can from the glue. There is, when you kind of successfully pull a decal off and it actually stays in one piece, you're kind of like, yeah, right? And if you just pull that can off, and it comes off, and you can see it kind of pull but separate and go down, and it's very linear, and it makes me happy.
There you go.
It's the simple joys of life for John Ruyak. The simple joys.
That's all I have now that I've got very little circulation in my cranium.
A very surprising take to this one. I thought we'd get some different responses to this one, but that's just what happens on this show.
Yeah, man.
Any other thoughts on any other? Do you like turtles that have that hourglass figure? Because they've
oh, jeez.
No, well, I think that should be the standard of beauty right there.
Oh my goodness, an hourglass figure on a turtle.
Yeah. All the other turtles are jealous. That's the only one that you ever see pictures of.
And other exciting news, our first sponsor this week, PETA, has decided. All right. Let's move on from that nonsense.
Don't we have another story about cans?
Yeah, we do. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I cannot wait for the wine in can fad and beer in can fad to die, so these guys have nothing to talk about and this show can be over with. Bad news, folks. Wine in cans is not a fad. Did you just blow your nose on the podcast, John?
I thought I turned off my microphone.
There's a cough button, bro. But you can sneeze.
I flipped it down and it automatically flips over to my
this
phone.
Will definitely be the episode that wins the podcast award. No doubt. Okay, so this is from the WashingtonPost.com. Talking about wine in cans is not a fad. So sorry to all the people that the cork lovers out there, the bottle lovers. It's not going away anytime soon. Since June of 2017 to June of this year, there's been a 43% increase in sales of wine in cans. This article goes on and talks a lot about how it's not just the consumers that are starting to see the benefits of cans for portability, recyclability, but also wine producers are realizing it costs less money to put in cans. They're producing a product that is more recyclable. It is a product that can stack easier. It's more lightweight. It's easier to ship. If something happens to their winery that causes a lot of things to fall over, the cans will survive that better than the bottles. It lays out a lot of the reasons as to why, as well as consumers are beginning to accept it more. I think that's the big take away from this, that it is becoming more of a recognized product by the consumers. It also talks about how you're starting to see $25 cans of wine in a 375 milliliter. So half a bottle of wine for $25 per can. So you're starting to see some no joke wines ending up into cans. We've talked about it a lot on the show, the can thing, but this kind of touched to some actual research that's been done into what the consumers and what the producers are feeling about it, and that all of it is coming back positive for the most part. Obviously, there's plenty of people listening that are like, no, I like my bottle. They're like Jeff Solomon. They like to hear the pop of the cork. They like the glass. One other thing that I found very true from this article is it says, don't drink the wine straight from the can. You have to pour it into a glass before you drink it. And I completely agree with that. I've done some of my own research, I'll put in air quotes, but tried it straight out of the can, poured it into a glass. It's very different. You definitely more taste the can if you're drinking it straight from the can. If it goes into the bottle, I think that eliminates that component to it and you have a much better product. So guys, there was a lot in to unpack in this article, but I just kind of wanted to touch on the top, the kind of the high level stuff about it, and then just kind of let you guys go from there. So, Jeff Solomon.
Yeah, I have been a fan of wine in cans like from the get, once they started hitting the shelves. I think specifically wines that do well in cans is I honestly, of course the quality of the wine matters, but I've always felt like that was a good place for sparkling wines, for single serving sparkling wines. And I will drink like Coppola Sophia sparkling white wine straight from the can, or put a straw in it like a G. I think like a zesty or zippier type of wine seems to fit more for me, like in a can. Like it just feels like it's right. The part that is a little bit weird for me, and I think that's really just it's about our perceptions, is a big bold red in a can. It just seems it seems weird, and I think the weird thing is it just seemed gross to drink it from the can, but that's why with all of them, you should be pouring them into the glass. And I think you're going to be happy with the result. I've also been, as I see Wen chiming in the chat, we kind of see a similarity with wines in a keg, which I'm a big fan of that format too when I'm in bars. You are going to see a huge decrease in things like cork taint, when you're dealing with stuff like that. So I think all around it's a good thing. And really, I'm glad that we're starting to see like higher quality producers getting into that market. I was so stoked to see like middle of the summer, like Bonnie Doon started releasing some sparkling wines, single serving in cans. I'm just a fan of that. Like I think it's great.
Yep.
As long as the cans are not wrapped together in a cardboard box. I don't see why you have to kill a bunch of trees to do the can. Again, put the plastic ring around it. Let me do my thing.
So another before we get to you, John, another interesting point from this article, the researchers compiled a database more than 450 wine in a can offerings from 130 wineries around the world. So this really is no joke, folks. The most popular sizes, and this is another thing that I really like about the wine in the can thing. 250 milliliters is the most popular. 375 is second, which would be half a bottle. And 187 is third, which would be the split. And I think this really hits on a market that has really been ignored by the wine community for a long time. And that's somebody having a drink by themselves, so that they don't have to drink half a bottle or a full bottle of wine or worry about storing it or anything else afterwards. They can have a glass or two of wine out of one can and they're good to go. All right. So John, go on with your thoughts.
Yeah. Portion management's a big deal, especially with the legitimate concern about drinking and driving, of course, or portion control. I don't know. Maybe you want to maybe you're working from home and you make this beautiful lunch and you want a glass of wine with lunch, but you got to go back to work, right? So, sometimes you can overpour a glass, especially since many Burgundy and Bordeaux glasses are just ginormous, right? Where's a traditional serving, right? It's at the bottom of the grape bunch that's engraved on the glass or whatever. So it'll make portion management a little better. And we went through this really when we first started the podcast was when the big push into cans and craft beer was starting. We had an episode or two talking about that and some of the pushback, the traditional, you got to drink it out of out of a bottle, it's craft beer, and only Bud Light or Coors Light comes out of a can. But canning technology has just come so far, and in the long run, it is less expensive. It is better for the product over a long course of time. I will be curious to see how they handle that, because I'm not sure what the lining inside of the cans can hold up to a fairly acidic environment with wine. If you're looking at a big red, right? And it really should be, are certain winemakers going to make the commitment to put something into a can that shouldn't be consumed for 5 or 7 years? That's an interesting thing. Here's the other thing, and I'll let you guys answer that in just a second, is the physics of pouring it out of the can into the glass. How does that translate to a wine that may need a little settling, a little bit of tannin drop? And what does that do to the tannins in the bottom of the can and the taste of the wine? Because because pouring out of a can is different. You've got that pull tab, you've got the mouth that's way different than the opening of a bottle, where I would imagine you get a gentler pour out of a traditional bottle than you would out of a can for a wine that requires a little bit of aging and, like I said, settling of tannins.
Not to mention, with the bottle, you can watch what's happening.
True. Yeah.
So, and from my perspective, I really don't see the canning of wines to be an ageability question. Like, to me, these are wines that are meant to be consumed relatively quickly.
Okay.
And that may just be, that's with no data whatsoever. That's just my gut and how I look at it. I don't see wine in a can as something that I'm going to lay down for 10 years. But like I said, I don't have the data behind that. Jeff, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I was gonna say, I mean, I think that'd be weird if you're buying cans just to hold on to.
And really,
it's meant for you to be like, here, this is a wine for right now. This is a wine for on your way to the tailgate.
Right.
This is a wine for, what's that?
Not driving.
No, while you're driving, I'm okay. Obviously, we do not condone drinking and driving, and
while you're walking.
I hope that's abundantly clear. I'm just trying to be funny.
On the show tonight, Reverse Solomon is on the show tonight.
But yeah, no, I just think it's great. I think we're slowly but surely we are. And I say we, not that you or I have anything to do with it, but we as a society are kind of removing the pretension away from the wine industry. And I think stuff like being okay, having wine in cans, I think is the way to go,
Accessibility is a big deal. It's like, it's kind of like when I go to the grocery store and I can get a little wedge of cheese that's just on the end of the thing. That's a $17 a pound cheese, but the lady got to the end of it and there's a $3 wedge of something that I've never tried before. And maybe you can do that. Like we talked before the show, I said, "Oh my God, $25 for a half a bottle of wine," and Eccles is like, "Well, yeah, but you're getting a $50 bottle for half the cost. Mm-hmm. You're getting to try that $50 wine for." But there again, let's bring it back to the point I made before. That's a $50 wine. That's something that you probably want hanging around for a little bit, right?
I mean, not necessarily, right? Sometimes you just want a big fat Napa cab.
Yeah, and I'd be willing to venture, like I think about, all the big names in the wine industry. I'll call them the steakhouse brands, things like Silver Oak, things like Opus One that definitely can be aged. I would say the vast majority of them are opened the same day that they are purchased.
Yep.
Right. So because and that's really about, showing off right then and there, or just wanting to taste it right then and there because they're ready to drink then as well, you know?
And not to mention, I mean, think of all the applications that I know we've talked about this a ton, but the options with can, the beach, the swimming pool, the concert. You want to take your date out to a picnic, and now you've got that $50 Napa cab in a can, and you don't have to worry about the corkscrew. You don't have to, it's the portability of it again. And now you're getting wines that are, hey, love, here's a baller wine to have with our
baked brie out in the middle of nowhere.
Hello, love.
Sandwiches.
Hello, love. Let's shotgun this Bordeaux.
Backpacking, camping, glamping.
Yeah. Jeff Solomon, what did Wen have to say? What were Wen thoughts?
She was into it. She said, yeah. She's totally the same thing. Talking about like portion control, talking about just the single serving. It's
Knuckles win. Knuckles.
It's good news. Knuckles, punch your camera, Wen.
So, but just one fudge. So, do you think the lining inside the can would absorb like flavors and things like that over time? Like, say, for instance, you had a 2014 Icelandic smoked whale testicle beer.
Oh, I'm not on it.
I mean, that's all I got.
All right, cool. All right. Anything else on that? We talked quite a bit about that, but that goes to folks. When we talk about this, we talk about it for a long time because like we're seriously like proponents of the wine in the can thing. Like we think it is a fantastic idea and you should be drinking more wine in a can because as we drink more of it, you're going to start seeing more and more of it. You're going to start seeing higher end stuff in it. It's just going to be can off.
I do believe ecologically it's a little bit better too because it takes less energy to recycle aluminum than it does glass.
Totes my goats. All right. Let's move on to bum. All right, Solomon. What happened in week 1?
I want to talk to you about the biggest beatdown that Jeff ever took. That's what I want to talk to you about, right? I want to talk to you about Kirk Cousins putting up 23 points. I want to talk to you about his boy Adam Thielen getting just 12 targets in a game and converting half of them into 102 yards. I want to talk to you about Golden Tate getting 20 points. Deshaun Jackson, almost 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. David Johnson scoring, getting 17 points. Dion Lewis, I love that guy, 21 points. The combination of starting a tight end in your tight end in your flex position, David Njoku and OJ Howard, who I love, who was stolen from the draft from me, combined for 11 points. I want to talk about a kicker that I've never heard of getting 4 points and the LA Ram defense getting 17.
What?
The biggest beatdown ever. Jeff Eccles, you destroyed me this week. 160 to 121.
Ooh, that's rough.
You are in second place, right behind So Fresh, So Hoppy, that's Brad from Swankville, who scored 167 this week. Congratulations. And now out of 16 teams, I am in 12th place, but it's week 1. Congrats to Dimitri getting stuck in an airport. Best thing he ever did. He put a beat down on some smoked whale testicles this week, 135 to 103. Congrats to Jeremy from Under the Bridge in a valiant fight against Jamie, who is saying, "Show me your TDs." She lost by a few points there to Jeremy. Italian Mike, Mr. Butt Destiny, put a beat down on Dave Rutzaro of the Pink Society. Dave, you are now in last place. Congratulations. Glitter Beer, which I believe is Ryan Hannigan from Focus on the Beer. He's actually winning this year, so that's nice. And shout out to the Smokin' Bowls who beat Natalie of Wine Down for What, and the Holy Pope, who I'm not certain whether or not he even knows he's in the league, did beat Tony from Swankville by 11 points. So congratulations to all the winners this week. I fucking hate every last one of you.
I mean, okay, I scored what, 150 some points?
160.
What was your week 1 score last year? It was over 200.
It was like 199. It was crazy. I destroyed that draft.
Yeah.
You don't have Ezekiel Elliott this year, do you, Solomon?
That was last year when I drafted Le'Veon Bell, and he actually showed up to play in games. So it was, it was cool.
Awesome. It feels great.
I love that before the show, I go, let me talk about fantasy football, and this big beatdown. He's like, oh, was it that bad? And I'm like, you didn't even know what you did.
I did not. You are correct.
And that hurts even more, doesn't it, Solomon?
Oh, man. I think he played that out. He's like, let me pretend I didn't know.
That feels good. All right.
Congrats, man. Second place. You're the first loser. Oh, I saw that on a t-shirt.
If we're talking more about the t-shirts we're looking at, and since John's head is turning a different kind of purple, let's just get to
last call.
Last call. Time to clean house and lock the doors. So you know what we do here, folks? This is your chance to give us some help. So the social medias, it's a lot of fun. When we wouldn't know when if it wasn't for Twitter. Jeff Solomon, you and I wouldn't even know each other if it wasn't for Twitter.
This is true. God bless that busy ass platform that I cannot pay attention to. It's like ADD. But check us out on Twitter at We Like Drinking 1. That's the number 1. Or on Facebook at We Like Drinking. Or on Instagram, the one we're trying to do, but I just am not good at it. Instagram at We Like Drinking. You can also check out our private Facebook group. Been a little quiet this week. That's totally my bad. Sorry, folks. But check out welikedrinking.com/tavern, and you get thrown right into that. When won't be there. When doesn't do the Book of Face. She's too cool for that.
Way too cool for that. But When is awesome on Twitter. John Ruyak.
Yeah.
If the people got something to say about this hot mess of an episode or any of our episodes, where can they go to leave a glowing 5-star review?
So just tippy-toe over to Apple iTunes, aka or Apple Podcasts, aka iTunes. Just tiptoe over there and leave a 5-star review. Type in something about, I don't know, cacao bean sediment in John's beer, or I don't know, smoked whale testicles, or wine in cans, and just 5 stars. That's all we ask. It's really not a lot.
It's not a lot.
You don't even have to tiptoe. You could just kick those fucking doors down and be as loud as you want with that review.
May as well. Jeff Solomon, if they've done all that and they're like, I must do more, what else can they do to help the show?
You're like, I need more access. And I've said it before. I will say it again. The Patreon app, you'll see it's in the bottom left-hand corner of my phone. You see it there with the P. That's the way to get more access to this show. You're going to get our episodes a day, sometimes 2 days earlier. You're going to be part of helping us make executive decisions on this show. We got lots of cool swag that we send out to our Patreons. We love to give you that love because you help support us. And I will say time and time again, the after party on Patreon is where it is at. come listen to us figure out how to give the worst acceptance speech of all time. That was so fun listening to that today. So find out more about how you can help us out with as little as $1 a month at welikedrinking.com/pledge.
Folks, all you have to do is walk by those kiosks of candy in Walmart for $1. You know, the Milk Duds, the Good and Plenties, the Smart, the Sour Patch Kids. Just walk by that and send that $1 to us instead of giving it to Walmart.
Next time you're feeling very, very sad and you're like in the Walmart and you're like, I just need this Slim Jim for the ride home. Just put that Slim Jim down. It's not doing anything for you. It gets stuck in between your teeth. It's awful. Instead, put that money where our mouths are, if you know what I mean.
That's right. And Patreons, just as a heads up, watch the feed this week. We've already completed our acceptance speech for the podcast awards, just in case we win. And as a Patreon, you get access to videos early. So win or not, we're going to drop it this week, so you get to see
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. If we don't win, we want all of our Patreons to start a letter writing campaign to tell them that they're full of shit.
Yes.
Especially after they view that, right?
Yeah. Yes, that's right. That's right. All right. That was a lot. That was a lot to absorb. And we're worried that you won't.
Do you have something to tell us, Eccles, that will help us absorb all that information?
I do. I have the patented We Like Drinking methodology of Wait, Who Subscribed? Where I give these guys a quote from someone fictional or non-fictional, and they tell me what movie it's from. All right, here we go this week. Oh, no, I can't do this one. That can't be it.
Methodology. That was classic.
Epistemology.
Yeah. The Ecclesian epistemology.
Wait, what? What are you talking about? All right, here we go. There is no way that you came from my loins. Soon as I get home, I'm gonna punch your mama in the mouth. All right, so kind of a sad one, but Jeff Solomon is crying, I think, shedding a tear. Jeff Solomon.
I don't know. Water boy?
John Ruyak.
That's some sort of Medea family reunion or something like that.
Kidding me, John.
This is it Mr. Miss? What's that?
This should be like your wheelhouse.
This is like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. That's what I thought it was going to be.
It came out in 1977.
There's no way you came from my loins.
I'm gonna punch your mama in the mouth.
Yeah.
Superfly.
Oh my goodness! No, 19th. Oh! Is it Deliverance? Because Burt Reynolds passed away this week.
Close. It is Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh.
So,
R.I.P. Burt. Cool guy.
Yep. Raise a glass. Burt Reynolds. May your stash live in infamy. All right. Where are we at? I don't even know what's going on. You can also find the show notes for this episode with all the links to the stories or mentions we had at welikedrinking.com/podcast. Or if you're on your phone, swipe right and you'll get them all right there. All right. Well, that was a hot mess, but the kind of hot mess we like. So it's a time where I get to say, okay, panel, let's take one last trip around this table and get some final thoughts before we shut off the lights. John Ruyak.
No, as I take the last sip of this Prairie Bomb, I got a stash of cocoa nibs, coffee, vanilla beans, and chili peppers. Yum.
Nice. Jeff Solomon.
Bologna.
I liked mine better. Aldo Nova's way better than the Knack. Come on, it's not even close.
All right. Well, listeners, thank you for joining us for another episode of the We Like Drinking podcast. But it's a time where I get to say, oh, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing anymore. Let's just do the hell do I say here? Thanks again for joining us at the We Like Drinking podcast.
We'll never drink alone.
Solomon, we left Eccles speechless. He didn't know where the fuck he was.
Multiple times. Gee.
What's that? Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Kara.
Everyone says hi. We just finished recording. She says hello. There you go. 15%. Pizza Zinfandel, Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon from our yard.
There's grass clippings in it too.
Yeah, it's a little green, but that's the terroir. She goes, it's actually good. That's right, it is.
All right. When
you got a little true green Kevlon taste in it.
When, thank you for hanging out the whole show. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
When are you still here?
She is.
She is? Okay, you know what? I think I fucking my chat froze on me. Okay, there she goes. Oh, she has been here the whole time. I missed all this stuff. What did you say about me, Wen?
Oh, she's been commenting the whole time. We didn't even give her props?
No, I gave her plenty of props.
Oh, okay. Did she say anything else?
Let's see here. Sorry, Wen. I lost you after you said you drank a bunch of LaCroix.
Watermelon peach flavor.
Oh, she's saying that there should be an aerator for the can. Like that's like a bazillion-dollar industry.
Like an Ulo. An automatically attached Ulo for the can.
There you go.
Oh, wineries could stamp like a drink between this year and this year, kind of like a freshness date on a beer.
There you go.
She's a big fan of the Misfit Cheese section. She just threw up in her mouth. When I'm so sorry I missed that. Oh fuck, man. Oh. And then she wrote after party.
Awesome. All right, when we are going to shut it down so we can do the rest of our stuff. But thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Wen.
That was
yeah,
awesome.
Bye, Wen. Thank you.